Hey out there, survivors, how you all doing? And welcome back to another, I don't even know what to call these yet. Oh no, wait, this is the first critical hit. That's what I can say. This is how bad I am at this. But I'm actually going to keep it like this. Normally I'd cut that and start again, but you know what? I like it. We'll roll with it. This is the first episode of Critical Hit, which is a new series that I'm doing here in the channel where, you know, in Hidden Gems, we look at games that are kind of undiscovered that people haven't really heard about and maybe like highlighting them. But in Critical Hit, we're looking at games that are quite well known, big successful franchises, big successful games, and we're going to try and like get into what makes them really special, what makes them so important, and how we as people gain something from these games, whether it's Final Fantasy X or Death Stranding or Metal Gear Solid, or in this case, the Kingdom Hearts series. And I am here talking to one of my favorite Twitch Kingdom Hearts streamers. I've literally just been indulging in this wonderful lady's Kingdom Hearts streams and getting to watch her go through all those first time experiences that like I haven't been through in some cases of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I haven't been through like 15 years, so it's an amazing experience. I want to welcome HandalfTheBae. Hannah,
hi.
welcome.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. This is so cool.
I've been so excited since we first said we were going to like hop on and then we changed up. We were going to do a Hidden Gems episode, but then I loved you came to me and you said this was a topic you were super passionate about, Kingdom Hearts, and also the other thing that we like to talk about, which is mental health supports, mental health awareness, and looking after your mental health. And so I was like, ooh, Kingdom Hearts mental health? Yes, I'm in 100%. Let's do this.
No, absolutely. No, I'm super excited to talk about it. I just...
So Han, what is your connection to Kingdom Hearts? I mean, I kind of know, but for the viewers, for the uninitiated at home.
Okay, so I'm going to just give a little bit of background. I have never played it before. Lots of people came to me over the years and were like, you really need to play it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know. So I started playing it in November, I believe. It was November 2020. I started it, first playthrough ever. And honestly, the game has just completely blown me away. Like, it is so incredible on like so many levels. Like, oh my gosh, the amount of depth to it. It's not just like a game, but there are so many layers to Kingdom Hearts and you can just relate to it on so many levels. Like, I think everybody comes away with their own, like, I don't know, interpretation of the game and maybe what they get from it. But it has definitely impacted me in so many ways. It's very, very special.
Something that I really liked about what you said there, and I think this is something a lot of people who... I'm going to try and... Now, the funny thing is, I was going to say I'm going to try and skirt around spoilers for you and stuff, because I know you're still playing it, but the funny thing is, I'm only one game ahead in the series to you. I'm on Dream Drop Distance, right. So I'm like not too far ahead. But yeah, the thing is though, a lot of people that seem to be like critics or detractors of the game and its story, a lot of it's about like, oh, it's so confusing. Oh, I don't get it. I don't like, what the hell? What I really like about what you just said there, and the reason I like this series as well, is because I think people are looking for answers and are looking for closure and are looking for stuff. But as you said, and you said it perfectly there, it's kind of open to interpretation. It's kind of like, well, what is love and darkness and shadow and light to you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that just makes it even more beautiful because there's so many conversations can spark off that. And, you know, so many people have so many theories. There's so much passion for it. Yeah, no, it makes it really great.
And like, it's so funny because I love, right, you started this in November 2020. And I remember like, so when I first played Kingdom Hearts 1, I think I was like, I suppose 16 or 17. And I remember being just like, actually, I tell a little bit of a lie here because I remember I got it from my cousin because I was like, oh, she'll love this because it's Kingdom Hearts and Disney, or Final Fantasy and Disney. She's going to love that. And then I started playing, like, she couldn't get past parts, so she was like, will you play it for me? And I did. And then I started being like, oh my God, this is incredible. What the hell?
It's so hard in some parts. Like, oh my gosh, deep jungle? Like, where am I going? Like, how do kids play this?
But that's it. She would be like, get past this part for me. And then it eventually became me like being like, I'm just gonna... Can I borrow your Kingdom Hearts disc and bring it home?
Help you some more here, you know.
Yeah, I remember the Little Mermaid level. She was like, this is so hard to control. I was like, give it here. I'll do it.
Yeah, I got this. Don't worry. Speaking of that, I've actually just bought my nephew the game. Like, I just bought him it. I'm gonna give it to him tomorrow. I'm so excited to pass it down. I'm like, here, I'm playing this. It's special. I'm gonna pass it down the generations because I missed out on it as a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I really want him to play it.
I love that. I literally, while I was watching your stream, that we're on the day that we're recording this, I watched your stream the day previous, and while I was watching it, my daughter just started her first playthrough of it on the TV. So I was looking between your stream and it. So special and magical, and you're gonna get to be able to watch her play the whole thing, and you're probably gonna be crying with her. I was explaining to her because I was like, "What do you know, the opening song?" And I was like, "What do you think of the song?" And she was like, "It's so good." And I was like, "Wait till you get to Sanctuary. Once you hear Sanctuary, you'll never be the same again because it'll just make you cry every time you hear it."
I think like I have never cried so much at a game. Like it just opened the floodworks. As soon as I heard Sanctuary, I was like, what is this? And then blood.
I think I tuned into one of your streams one night, and you literally, your mascara had ran, and you literally look like the Crow.
Doesn't even look cute. It's just like black makeup all down my face, and I'm just like, what happened?
But I love like any game that can do that to you though, that can provoke that much of an emotional response. It's like they're so important because I talked a little bit about this when I was chatting to Casey, but so many people still, I mean, not as many as used to, but like so many people do still look down on games as a medium and kind of say like, oh, games aren't like books or books or movies or whatever. And it's like, they absolutely are. Like they can create an emotional response. They can create yes, you said it.
They really are. Yeah.
And so to jump into this a little bit, I guess, is like, we've talked in the past about, as we say, like, especially about mental health and like, you know, urging people and understanding that it's not always so easy to like reach out when you are in crisis or to talk to people or to, you know, but like something you said, as I said, that intrigued me was like Kingdom Hearts as almost like, as we say, taking an interpretation out of it, like almost as a metaphor for those feelings. You've got shadows, light, darkness. I'd just love to know your kind of take on that. Like, it fascinates me.
Yeah, like I said, I think like obviously the game series, everybody interprets it so differently, but that was definitely my interpretation of it. And I think that's why the game made me so emotional, is because I linked certain feelings to certain things and certain like metaphors and things. So like the darkness, I just kind of, I don't know, I just interpreted it as, I don't know, I guess it's a really personal thing. Like being in a certain space with yourself and maybe like where you are in life, and then just the whole like finding that door to the light and things. It just, I guess that was my own interpretation of it. I'm not too sure how you find it, Paddy. Like did you sort of feel similarly with that, or what way did you take it?
I actually did. Like, one of the interesting things is I really identified with Riku as a character, and as the series went on, I started to understand more and more, I think, why I did, because I was like, Riku is the version of me that I wish, he becomes the version of me that I wish I could be, because he knows he has darkness.
Yeah.
He starts out afraid of the darkness and it nearly overtakes him.
Yeah, that's it.
But then he learns to kind of be comfortable with his darkness and understanding that he has a certain amount of darkness that he'll never get rid of. Exactly. And I'm just like, that's so empowering to anybody who has suffered with depression or any kind of mental health disorder.
That was my interpretation of it as well. Yeah.
I love that.
For sure. Like being able to manage that darkness inside and like know that it is okay, and just he kind of uses it as his power sometimes, doesn't he? And
yeah.
And it's just I don't know, it's just refreshing in a game to see that.
And like, it's interesting because you kind of see that he is the most easily, early on as well, he's the most easily manipulatable. That's a really hard word to say. As soon as the word came out of my mouth, I was like, is that right? But yeah, he's very susceptible to people influencing him. And again, I think that, you know, thinking back to my teens and early 20s when I was very uncomfortable and very unsure of myself, I was very susceptible to people pushing me one way or another, guiding my life for me instead of letting me make my own decisions for myself.
But the thing at the bottom of all that, it doesn't matter about the darkness and light, like Riku was still a good person. Like he's still a good person, regardless of having two sides, you know, which I think is really, really important to note as well.
And something that I'm going to kind of launch off as a launching platform, and I think we'll like delve into this as well, though, is like, because I think you're going to get excited when we start talking about this side of it, but the other side of it is you have Riku, and he is, as we say, this character, and you have Sora, and you have Kairi, but what you have as well is like, no matter how dark, how down that path Riku goes into the darkness and stuff, he has friends, and his friends are there reaching out to him.
You're gonna make me cry again. It's just too beautiful. Like, your friends are your par.
Exactly.
It is just so beautiful. Like, because we've all been there when we've needed friends to pick us up. So, it's just so very special. We've been in those places, you know. Well, I don't know. I'm speaking generally, but I know I've been in that place where I've felt like Riku and I've needed friends, you know, to pick you up.
And it's you kind of like, you have Sora and Kairi, and it really is, as you say, like, it's obviously, we've said this, but we'll stip it again. It is a personal interpretation, but like, the idea being even that, like, yeah, you have friends that are willing to fight, and no matter how bad you've gotten or you know how irredeemable you are, they're like, no, I'll get my friend back.
They're gonna bring you back. Yeah, they're gonna make you feel better, and it's just
And then I think if you factor into all that, like, I mean, obviously we're talking about it in that space, and it is obviously, whether it's intended by the devs or not, it has those kind of things you can latch onto. But then, like, the other side of it is it uses the worlds of Disney to tell the story. And again, so many of us growing up have latched onto the worlds of Disney as like our escape or our, you know, let's
oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Were you a big Disney fan growing up, Anne?
I was a huge Disney fan. Oh my gosh. I grew up always wanting to be like Belle, and I was just like, I just adore her. I was like, she's so smart. And like, I think Disney characters inspired us as kids. Like, you kind of really, you wanted to grow up to be just like them.
And it's so cross-generational. It's like, whether it was me, I'm an old fart, or you, or my daughter now has watched all the Disney movies on Disney Plus. It's like, it doesn't, and all the way back to the 40s, like, you know. It spans forever, and it's because they have these stories that are just immediately relatable, no matter the time. But yeah, so I think that really does help them when you have that as, I mean, I think, just to kind of put it this way, I think if Kingdom Hearts had been a totally new adventure without the Disney of it all, if it was just kind of like Final Fantasy, it was a whole new world, forgive the pun. If it was, like, I don't think people would have maybe latched it the same way, because it did create this sense of like nostalgia, and you're playing as this kid, and it's like, you feel like a kid again playing it.
No, I completely agree. I think seeing these characters that you grew up loving so much, like, I think their words just hold so much more. I don't know. You just hold their words so much more. And I think that I don't know, that's maybe why they hit me so much more, because I grew up adoring these characters, and now these characters are telling me these like things that are so powerful and special. I'm like, ooh, like, this is having a big impact on me. And like, as I said, I didn't play the game as a kid, so I don't know how my playthrough would have went as a kid. I don't know if it would have went differently.
Yeah.
But certainly, like, being a bit older and playing the game, I've absolutely adored it.
One of the things that I most love is that, like, even in sections of the game that might not be like, if somebody was to just drop in, they'd be like, why is this person so emotional here? Because, like, for example, I several of the times that I've dropped in, you've been in like 100 Acre Woods, and you've been like on the verge of tears, if not crying, because you're like, I don't want to leave Pooh behind.
Love Tigger. Like, I was crying. It's because I've just adored him since I was a kid. I'm just like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, like, you're right. Like, you're probably like, why is this girl crying? And I'm like, in bits.
But then when I watch it, and like, as I say, kind of, I played this when I was a kid, and I think I enjoyed the game, but I don't think it had, Kingdom Hearts 2 always had an effect on me, I'll say that. Ever since I played, even when I was like a teen, when I played that like, it hit me hard from day one, because I think Kingdom Hearts 2 kind of, where Kingdom Hearts 1 maybe isn't kind of straight out about that stuff, Kingdom Hearts 2 I think knows that it's telling a much deeper story with the whole Roxas
Yeah.
Sora thing and everything. It's just.
Oh, the nobody thing. Oh my
Yes,
gosh, that
yeah.
kills me. Like, for somebody to ever think that they're a nobody, it just, my heart, like, it just, oh. And it just, I don't know if that's linked to like maybe self-esteem or something, but that's how I interpret it. And it's, yeah.
Because
like,
you're told these people are nobodies, but we've been with them and we've seen them and we're like, they're not nobody. They're somebody. We
see them act in the most human ways.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, no, there's so many aspects. I forgot to even think about the nobody part of it and how heartbreaking that is.
and even the idea, I suppose, just of the heartless, like, and just like they're heartless, and you're like, they're people, they're kind of energy of people that are left behind, or like forgotten about.
Are they really that bad?
Yeah, and everyone's like, they're irredeemable, they're monsters, but then Sora comes back from being a heart,
Sora comes back.
Yeah,
Sora
so it's like, really? Maybe they aren't so bad.
I think that's maybe one of the first times I cried at Kingdom Hearts, was that part.
I get it.
Taking your most beloved character, making him stab himself, and then become heartless. Oh my gosh.
In a kid's game.
I did not think that would ever have happened. I really went into the game with much different expectations to what I got. I was like, there's no way.
That leads me to a question, actually. So when you started playing Kingdom Hearts 1, was the intention always, we're going to play Kingdom Hearts all the way through all the games? Or did you play 1 and fall in love with it and then was like, oh my god, I've got to play all of these, like, back to back?
I played 1, I fell in love with it, and I was like, that's me for the next good while. I was like, I am so sorted. I actually threw all my other games out the window. Like, I was playing Final Fantasy 14 as well at the same time as Kingdom Hearts. And as soon as I dived into the Kingdom Hearts world, I was like, I'm here.
Goodbye.
I am in the Kingdom Hearts world. I'm not leaving this place for a while, and I'm still playing it,
You're doing crazy well with it. I mean, I'm shocked because you do a lot of chatting as well and other stuff. So I'm surprised at how far through you are since you started in November. I'm like, whoa, that's good going.
I always have this thing, like, if I absolutely adore a game and I fall in love with it, I want to do as much of the content as possible. I don't know if you do the same in games. It's particular games. I'm like, I have to do everything. So that's why it's taken me so long to get through the series, because I want to kill all the super bosses and I want to do all that stuff. But it's such a credit to a game. It just shows how much you love it, because you want to spend even more time in it. You don't want to leave it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I saw when you got to Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts 2, I was like, yeah, I think you struggled a little bit at first, but I was like, even when you were struggling, I was like, Hannah's already doing so much better at this than I ever have. I always found Sephiroth so hard in those games. I was like, dude, you gotta do better. Because did you
defeat him in Kingdom Hearts 2?
I've never beat him in. I beat him in Kingdom Hearts 1. I've never beat him in Kingdom Hearts 2.
It's such a good payoff when you do it. You're like, oh my gosh.
I just loved your tenacity. You were just like, no, I'll keep going till I do it.
It's going down. Yeah, I have that at the moment with another boss. I don't know, like, about spoilers. Am I allowed to talk about spoilers or anything?
Is that
like that?
I can put a spoiler warning for the Kingdom Hearts series in this. Like, is it the, what's it called? Like the
lingering will?
There we go. The lingering will. Yes. Yeah.
Me and him. Oh my gosh. It's not over yet. It's not over. I'm coming back for him and he will be destroyed.
Yeah. I don't think I ever.
Did you try him?
I think I tried him and he kicked my ass so bad. And like, see, I never. I kind of was going through the series, but I was kind of different to you. I was like, I'll just go through the games, and then when I beat them all, then I'll come back and do everything again. But yeah. Now I kind of regret that, because, like, as I say, watching you do it, I'm like, oh man, like, you've like leveled your stuff up like to like the max and stuff. And I was like, that looks so satisfying.
Grind. Level 99. Let's go.
But I love when a game can make you feel like that, or a game series, more to the point, can make you like there's something about Kingdom Hearts that like it has that same quality that I just said about Disney, that like 40 years on, or more than 40 years on, since the 40s, we're still talking about like Cinderella and Snow White and, you know, all these these movies. Like Kingdom Hearts has that as well, or something, where it like, I think it'll be kind of timeless. It doesn't age.
No. Yeah, it is one of those very special games, just gonna stay around for forever, for a really long time. There's not that many games that I feel hit that level of I don't know, impacting so many people.
Yeah, because the community around it is huge, like, as well. That's another thing. And like, you've done some Kingdom Hearts cosplays on stream, which is awesome. You did a Naminé cosplay, which was super cool. And
Kyrie. That was fun. And Kyrie, of course. I know. There's something about cosplay where you just get to put on something and you just get to like, I don't know, embody like your favorite characters. I just love it so much. Cosplay is very special. I always get so nervous about it though, because I'm like, oh my gosh, so many people love this character. I'm like, I don't want to absolutely destroy them.
And you've got the code incoming, so that's like 13 more cosplays, like, straight away.
Right. We've got the code. Organization 13 code. And
then you can basically cosplay I'm telling you, a gender bend Axel would be the coolest cosplay ever, especially with your hair.
We gotta do Axel. Who would you dress up as, Paddy, if you had to pick?
Oh, that's a good question, because I don't know, I kind of feel like, of the characters, like, as I say, I relate a lot to Riku. I love Riku, but I think if I was going to cosplay someone, weirdly enough, I'd maybe lean more towards like Roxas, because I think I developed a kind of although I don't look very like Roxas. I should look more like Zigbar or something. But I would love to, I think if I was going to do something like that, I'd try and embody someone like Roxas, because he, like we said about the whole like the nobody thing, it's like Roxas I felt the most for of any character in the whole series, I think. Which
so
is
much so. How did they do that? Like in Kingdom Hearts 2, within like, I think it was like the intro, within 4 hours, they had you like so attached to Roxas and like his whole character, and they had you crying at the intro, like about him. They just have this, I don't know, amazing talent of giving you these characters who you absolutely adore, like, and you form these attachments to. Like I've always said, like, I know some people don't like Kyrie and some people really, really like Kyrie, but I will always, I think, adore Kyrie, because I'm seeing Kyrie through Sora's eyes and his attachment to her. So I've grown this attachment to her. And like anytime I see her, I'm like welling up. I'm like, ah.
I think there's a lot of people as well that stems from like, there's that little bit of a Team Sora, Team Riku thing that goes on as well within the community. And it's like, some people are like, Kyrie should be with Riku, not with Sora. And like, and it's interesting, because I think, when you get communities that are this big and are this diverse, and interpretation is so open.
Team Tifa, Team Aerith thing, isn't it? It's gonna always be there. It's gonna always be kicking off debates.
And it's funny because you can change people's views on that stuff, because I was, just to go off on a little tangent here, I was totally Team Tifa in the OG when I played it back in the day, and I was always like, Aerith, I could take her leave. And then the remake came out. And I fell in love with Aerith in the remake. I was like, okay, Aerith's my girl now.
Aerith. Oh my gosh, I'm surprised. Like, actually, no, I have seen that has happened to a few people. They have changed their mind in the remake.
I think a lot of it's down to like the support. Just to go on, we're gonna keep this tangent because I like it. I think some of that stems from the fact that in the supporting stuff, like in Advent Children and stuff, they made Aerith out to be this very like angelic, mythical creature, whereas like Aerith in the OG, which I didn't really remember and plus the translation wasn't great in the OG, like she was way more sassy and way more like, she didn't really care about how she acted, like she wasn't trying to be prim and proper. And then I think in the remake, they just really captured that, like Aerith is...
They did. They captured her personality perfectly. I've always said I'm a massive Aerith fan, and I was so worried in the remake that they weren't going to capture her personality that well, but they did. They did it incredibly, and No, it's so good to see. It's so good to see other people fall in love with that character. She's wonderful.
And like, just to say this is a tangent that can kind of round its way back in, because like we've talked about the Disney connection within Kingdom Hearts, but obviously it's rooted in Final Fantasy characters and lore and history as well. So like, what's your relationship with Final Fantasy like before you played Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, before I played Kingdom Hearts. So like, I always say that the two games that have inspired me the most to get into video games have always been Final Fantasy VII and Ocarina of Time. So yeah, I actually like, it was my big brother. I sat down to play Final Fantasy VII. I watched him play it. I didn't even play it. I was a kid at the time. And I will never remember the night when Aerith died. And I was sat in the room with him, heartbroken, crying my eyes out. Like, my mom even woke up and come into the room and was like, what's going on? I was just pissed. And my brother was laughing at me. Like, he was laughing.
The monster.
I am traumatized by this. And like, I've just always remembered that love for her. Like, it's very nostalgic. Growing up with my brother playing it, like, it's deep rooted. Like, it's a game that means a huge deal to me. And similar with Ocarina of Time, like, I grew up playing that with my sister, and it's a beautiful game. So I guess my connection to Final Fantasy VII is very much the original. It's very much nostalgia, but to the Final Fantasy VII remake, it's kind of a bit different. Like, I had a bit of like, I just felt a lot happier in general when I came back to play that. I took a break from streaming and came back for the remake.
Yeah.
So I think the remake holds a bit of a different connection with me. If that makes any sense. I don't know if it does.
I get it. And no, you're not. You're all good. I feel similarly in that, like, well, okay, Final Fantasy VII, I think this is something we bonded on when I first entered your stream, because I went down and looked at your about section and I said, oh my god, Final Fantasy VII is one of your favorite games. And I remember, streamers, this is some advice for you, okay? Some advice for what is a really nice way to handle things on stream. What Hannah said, and I remember it, I remember this, was Hannah said, oh my god, thank you so much for going down and reading through the about section. I really appreciate that. It's not hard, guys. It's not hard to appreciate. Like, and it just immediately made me go, holy crap, thank you. Like, because again, you don't
I just couldn't believe someone would scroll down. I was like, someone scrolled down and read a big essay, because I didn't just write one line. Like, if you go on my Twitch, I've written like a blurb, pretty much a novel.
But I loved it because
to read that novel.
Again, right? I was like, okay, Final Fantasy VII is one of my all-time favorite games. I have a tattoo of it on my back. I have the Zelda tattoo on here.
See, what's your tattoo?
It's the logo. It's the meteor, like the original logo. I want to get it updated with the remake one, which is just slightly different, but I want to get it updated. But yeah, like, I love the OG, but like that, and I do play it regularly. I have for years, but like, it doesn't. It holds a massive place in my heart, but it's never going to change. It is what it is, and my attachment to it is always going to be the same, and it's never going to change. But the remake, the reason I do love it is the same reason so many other people got annoyed. I'm like, they changed stuff. Awesome. I'm like, this is what needed to happen. Because I have the original and it's never going to change. It's never going to go away. I need something new.
They haven't. Like, it's not the same game. They're going off on different tangents with it, but that's really fun to see. Like, it's exciting. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's brought that sense of hype back to that game.
It has, because it's a 20-year-old game and you still have people being like, don't spoil it for me about the remake. And at first people were like, I remember people being like, how do you spoil a 20-plus-year-old game? And then people were like, no, trust me. There's stuff that actually can with this. And it was like, whoa, what the
There is literal spoilers,
And I just kind of, like, I think that Square Enix are really good at, like, at creating these worlds, these characters especially. I treat Final Fantasy as being almost more about characters than the worlds. And when you get them, like, in Kingdom Hearts, like, when you're playing it and you meet Cloud, and he looks different, but it's Cloud, and you know it's Cloud. Or you meet Leon or Aerith or whoever, you're like,
I know. I think, like, I screamed when I seen Aerith. I was like, you see them, and it's so wonderful bringing them in as well. Like,
it dredges up all those extra emotions. It's just like, okay, you've already made me cry with Tigger, you've made me cry with whatever, and now you're dropping an Aerith on me? Are you serious?
I know. It's too much for me to handle. It's no wonder I cry for every time I play the game.
But you've, as we say, you've played through the first game, Kingdom Hearts 2, which is, I was going to say which is my personal favorite. It's kind of a tricky one because the one you're playing at the moment is fighting for top spot for me. Yeah. Like, it's a very close battle for me between Kingdom Hearts 2 and that for which is best. I'm like, because I love them both for completely different reasons.
I think the reason why Kingdom Hearts 2 stands out so much for me is that ending. Oh my gosh. It is so beautiful. Like, to see everybody happy and together again, it's like, whew. It was just so overwhelming. And
like, but then to go from that straight into 3582 days, which is just like, hey, see all that happiness? Let me just come in with a sledgehammer. We're gonna just rip
that away from you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was hard to see.
3582 days is a good one, I think, good game to kind of quickly talk about though, with the fact of like, I think talking to this whole, like what we first started talking about with the whole mental health side of things and everything as well. Like 3582 days is very much a story of like feeling like you're missing something, feeling like you're
just that feeling of not feeling totally complete. I definitely feel like it relates to self-esteem a little bit, you know,
definitely.
Not feeling like you're enough, you know, to be worthy of a heart or something like that. It hits hard.
It does. And then even with the whole Xian relationship, and it's like at first she has no face because you're not attached to her, so she doesn't need a face for you to be able to. And then it's like that creates this whole idea of like, you know, that Roxas cares for her when she has a face, because at that point he cares enough for her that she's become a real person in his eyes.
Yeah.
I found that for me, I never played 3582s on 2 days on the DS. I only ever watched the cutscenes like you did as well.
Yeah.
But I still found that I was like, that's like one of the best 3-hour movies I've ever watched in my life.
Honestly, it's phenomenal. It was absolutely incredible from start to finish. Like, there were so many beautiful things that maybe you hadn't have thought of before. Like, Roxas is kind of learning all about friendship, and he's kind of asking these questions about friendship. And it's things that maybe I haven't thought of for a while. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is friendship. And you see the three of them there together, just blossoming together and growing this beautiful, beautiful friendship. And Axel as well. Like, Axel just being like that wisdom character, like.
And the interesting thing is that, like, as much as I love Axel in Kingdom Hearts 2, I feel like you didn't really get to know him. You got to learn a little bit about him, but like, I think 3582 days was like, oh, you want to know about Axel? Here's like, because I think he still kind of felt a little bit like a baddie in 2. Like, even though you knew he had a softer side, but you still was like, he's still a villain.
He had that best friendship with Roxas, but you didn't have like the foundations for that yet. You weren't aware of all that background. And then his character arc for me was kind of, I guess it appeared kind of sudden in Kingdom Hearts 2 because I hadn't watched the cutscenes yet. But it still hit so hard because of him sacrificing himself whenever the whole thing is that he doesn't have a heart. And that is what broke me. I was like, how does this character not have a heart to do something like that? Like,
I think one of the moments that broke me more so with 3582 days, knowing the stuff of it, and then seeing you play it, because that would have been my first time seeing Kingdom Hearts 2 again, having watched 3582 days, is when. See, this is where it gets interesting. Like, I think when you go back and play these again, or you watch somebody else play them, and you get that to certain moments with hindsight, with knowledge, it changes. Because like when you got to the part where Axel says like, stop playing around, Roxas, or whatever, to Sora, and then Sora responds to him, and then it's like, hey, what the hell just happened to me? When you first play that, you're like, what's going on? Like, did they know each other? Okay, cool. Like, what? But then, like, when you have 3582 days, you're like, oh god, he was reaching out to his friend, and like, and through it all, Roxas was able to answer through Sora. Even like, I was like, no, I can't do this. I have to go off and lie down somewhere.
Just lie down, cry, and eat chocolate.
Just into a fetal position on the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think with the Axel scene in Kingdom Hearts 2, I was just more in shock because I hadn't watched the cutscenes yet. But I still cried at that. I still cried about him doing that. It was just so meaningful and just heartbreaking to see. But it was definitely more of a shock.
Yeah,
I think
in the moment, in
the moment. Then tears.
then tears, endless tears.
I was like, this isn't happening. No.
I think I was there for that because I think that was when I came in and you were covered in mascara. I'm pretty sure that might have been it.
Common thing.
But I do kind of want to kind of spin this out now from talking about friendship. I want to talk a little bit about Twitch because I think that's a great way to jump, because I recently wrote a blog post about my experiences on Twitch, and in it I said like the term friendship, again, I see a lot of people saying, oh, these are my online friends and these are my IRL friends, and like we were talking before we started recording about small streamers or amateur filmmaker, and just getting rid of that first word and just being like, I'm a streamer, I'm a filmmaker. It's like, friends are friends.
Friends are friends. Friends are friends. I have had so many beautiful friendships from Twitch, some more special than friendships that I've met from people from where I live. Like, I've genuinely met my best friends on Twitch. So I don't understand why people think that you can't genuinely form connections or, you know, these friendships on Twitch, because they feel very real to me.
Exactly. It's like it again, like it kind of comes back to Kingdom Hearts though, like, and the whole like what's real, what's not, what am I a nobody, am I nothing. It's like the amount of people that, like, when I say, oh, my friend on Twitch, and they're like, oh, but like you're real friends, and I'm like, you don't get it. Like,
you don't. Yeah.
I do think, but like, for you, how important has Twitch been to you in terms of your mental health and everything through the lockdown, through 2020?
Gosh. It's just like completely changed my life. So like I said to you, like, I came back to play Final Fantasy VII Remake because I was in a happier place. So like before that, I took a massive break from streaming because I just wasn't happy. Like, and I think that's why I relate so much to Kingdom Hearts. Like, we were talking about the darkness and the light, and I just wasn't in a good place. So I came back for that game, and like, it's just completely changed my life for the better. Like, coming back for a game that meant so much to you as a kid, and then so from then I just kept going with it. Like, whereas before, when I streamed, I always took these big breaks because I was like, nobody's gonna show up. I was like, no one's gonna want to see me. No one's gonna want to watch this. I was like, and then Final Fantasy VII Remake came along, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be in a better mindset. I'm gonna stick to a schedule. I'm gonna enjoy the game, and I absolutely loved it, and I haven't stopped since. And it's been so important for my mental health to feel much more connected, because I felt so isolated before, like, and that's why I came to Twitch, was because I just felt really isolated and alone.
That is, like, it's beautiful to hear though, that like that, because like I can totally relate. I remember, like, my channel has grown so much in the last 2 months because I've gotten away from nobody who would want to come on and watch me. How many people are watching? 6. Oh, now 3. I've done something wrong. Like, I just, since I met people like you and Ali and Casey and Lizzie and stuff, I've taken that idea of caring about all that stuff and just thrown it away and just been like,
you have to, for your sanity. You do, because your worth isn't based on numbers. Like, there's so many other factors. Your worth isn't based on who comes to watch your stream. And that's very important to learn early as a streamer. Like,
yeah. But also, it definitely adjusts your mindset, and then you become less enjoyable to watch because, like, you are conscious and anxious.
Yeah,
and
you're nervous about it, aren't you? Like, so I made a decision, like, whenever I started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, I'm not going to look at the numbers. I'm not going to look at view count. I didn't. The only time I started watching that again was recently when I just put in my partnership application.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, it broke me. I was anxious before every stream. I was like, it's no wonder I decided not to look at view count because this is terrible. I was like, how do people watch this so much? I was like, I don't want to look anymore.
I can't remember who it was, but I think it would have been Ali. Was it that said she literally got a post-it note at first and just stuck it over the viewer count? And she was like,
to block that from looking at it. Like, oh my gosh, I think it changes you. Like, you feel like this sense of relief whenever you stop watching it. Like, I've stopped watching it again now, like after I've heard back and stuff. I've just, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And it's just freedom. It's like,
And like, I find that, like, yeah, whether I don't know how many people are in chat, and it could be 5, it could be 50, but I don't know. I'm just sitting there talking exactly as I would if there was 0 or 500. It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't. It doesn't.
That's some really good advice, and it's really healthy advice for streamers that you've given. And guys, you should listen to Handalf with the advice because, I mean, Handalf, you mentioned it there, but like, you got partner on Twitch,
I did. Last Wednesday.
Major kudos, because like,
thank you so much.
Again, we've said, right, and it's true, it's not about the numbers, it's not about any of that, but the thing is, doing something like partner, especially for somebody like you, I find it's like, it gives you a chance to expand and grow your community, and you've got such a good, wonderful, loving community that any chance to grow and expand that is a good thing, is the way I see it.
Yeah, I have to like say, like, whenever I was streaming, I started off streaming, a lot of people would tell me that to get anywhere on Twitch, that you should make connections with people that are bigger than you. I got told that so many times, and I always remember thinking, and I was like, I don't understand why you would just form a connection with somebody to try and get somewhere. I was like, this just seems so backwards to me. So I didn't do that. I didn't go and try and form connections, you know, with partners or anything like that. I think it is more important that you go and you form real friendships, not expecting anything back, which is what I did. I just went to people's streams and just to enjoy their content, just to enjoy it. And also it's a learning experience too. Like, you watching other people, you learn so many things, and you're like, oh, maybe, you know, that inspires me to try something different on my channel. Like, it's just, that's, if I'm gonna say one piece of bad advice I got told when streaming, was that you should focus on people that are always bigger than you, and you should forget about people that are smaller. I was like, this is backwards. This isn't gonna work for me. It doesn't work for my morals anyway, but
but it's really true. Like, I literally, right, I was in a group when I first started on Twitch that was very focused around, it wasn't even focused around that. It wasn't around, oh, support, like, just reach out to people who are bigger than you. But me and a friend were talking about this only the other day. It was geared around, you're only welcome in our streams if you're going to be active. If you're just going to lurk or do stuff like that, then don't bother. And me and my friend, me and a friend the other day were talking about this, and we were like, I'm so glad we got out of that group. Like, that was not healthy.
That's not healthy, because some people feel like, I feel anxious sometimes in chat if it's busy. I'm just like, I'm mostly a lurker in people's streams, because I'm just like, that's not right. You should never force someone outside their comfort zone.
Like, we appreciate the lurkers. Like, the lurkers are the lifeblood of Twitch. Like,
exactly. The lurkers are like, exactly. They're, I don't know. I don't get that kind of mentality at all. It doesn't make any sense.
That was the bit of bad advice that I got at the start, was that. And what, as I say, once I started, right, kind of post Christmas, I think I started hopping into people's streams, and it was literally started with just a kind of, it just started, I think, with a kind of like, I think it was when Casey's stream came up as a recommended, and I was just like, oh, what's this? And because I saw it was Final Fantasy VI, I was like, oh yes, I love me some Final Fantasy VI. I went in, and immediately I was like, this person is super fun, super genuine, super awesome to watch. I could easily spend 2 or 3 hours. And then around that time, I also started kind of watching your streams. I also found Ali. I found, a bunch of people, Mr. Megaboss and everything. And it was like, I was like, this is what I'm here for. Like, I don't even care as much about, I do care about my channel as a means to do my thing. But like, I'm just as happy to spend my time in these people's channels enjoying their content.
I always feel like this sense of like, I don't know, I think like I get my happiness from like going and supporting my friends. Like I love being in, I love being in your stream. I love hanging out there. Like even if I'm not that chatty, I still try my best to like be there. I'm like, I try my best to be there. And it's the same with like Casey and, her streams. Like it's just important to like support your friends, I feel.
That's 100% true. And like you said about learning stuff, right? I was coming into your stream and I noticed that you did like, whenever anybody would sub or follow new followers, you would do the little ocarina thing. And I straight away was like, that's so cool. I was like, I can't play an ocarina though. I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my bass because I haven't played in like so long. And I'm going to like play the Final Fantasy Victory music whenever anybody like follows or subs or whatever.
Yeah.
And I got that idea from watching your streams. It wasn't, I hope it wasn't seen as plagiarism or anything. It was just like, that's a good idea.
Like you get inspired from other streamers. Like everybody learns from each other and you think of your own kind of creative interpretation of it. And that's why I always say that it's important to watch streams as a streamer. If you wanna, I don't know, grow or sort of, I don't know, grow your content. It's important to watch others because other people have different ideas and you can learn what works.
And it can actually, what people don't realize, it can actively change your life in ways because like I had stopped playing bass for God, probably 13 years. And then I was in Chad Music stream and I was just like, this dude is inspiring me to want to, I was like, I want to pick up my instrument again and get good again. I was like, God damn it. And like, that's what I mean. Like you just never know where that strike of inspiration is going to come from. So just run around, support people, get involved. Like
That's it. And you never know who you're going to meet along the way. You never know who's going to change your life and who's, what connections you're going to form. So yeah. And joining Discords as well. Like that's something that I didn't do when I started streaming. Like the first time, whenever I didn't really commit to it properly. I didn't really join any Discords or anything. I was very shy. But then as time went on, like you hop into Discord and you're like, oh, all these people like together with all this nerdiness. It just feels so, I don't know. It just feels really like home.
Exactly. Like, and yeah, I find that most mornings I'll get up and I'll be going through the Discords and I'll see you popping up and everyone's just been like, morning. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then
I'm always like, morning. Hello, everyone.
I love that though. And it's like, yeah, like, I think that to kind of wrap this all up in a beautiful heart-shaped bubble, like, I think that like if we're talking about Kingdom Hearts and we're talking about kind of life and the Venn diagram of them, like I think that like Kingdom Hearts is literally one of the best realizations of community and friendships, because even outside of the main trio, every world they go to, they meet people and connect with them, and their community of people gets bigger, And that's what we should all be doing, I think, on Twitch or in real life or whatever. I mean, we can't in real life at the moment, but you know what I mean. We can't get in a gummy ship and travel anywhere right now, but like... Han, I want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting to me about this, because I love...
Thank you so much. Like I was so excited for this. I was like, oh, I get to talk about like one of my favorite games of all time. Like, ooh.
Your love for the series has kind of probably, I don't know if I would have gotten Piper to like start playing it, because we watch your streams at dinner. Like we have you on streaming at the dinner table when we're eating dinner.
That is the sweetest thing.
But so then Piper, I think, is like, oh, I might play that because Hannah's playing it and she likes it. So again, like I think it can't be understated the effect or the positive effects that your stream can have on people. And I think yours in particular, very positive, upbeat vibes. And yeah, so I'll be saying here that to anybody watching this, follow HandalfTheBae on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, get involved on all that. What other?
Get a little shy.
You're kind of everywhere though, right? Your Twitter, Instagram. YouTube and Twitch?
I'm about your places. You might find me.
If you look hard enough, you might find me. No, but seriously, for me to you, like, you're a fantastic content creator. I want to thank you for the hours of content you've provided. But more so than that, I want to thank you so much for the genuine friendship you've shown me.
Oh, Paddy, you're the best. Like, you're the best.
Thank you so much. Guys, as I said, do all the follows, do all that jazz. And if you like this video, please do the like, subscribe thing here. Would really appreciate it. I, again, just want to build the YouTube as a community. I just want people to come in and feel like they have a safe space to enjoy watching this kind of content. And one of my big things that I'm trying to focus on here is that I do want to interview people like Hannah, people like Ali, Casey, Megaboss. I want to interview streamers and stuff who, you know, like, I love doing the big voice actor interviews and stuff. It's awesome, but I'd really like just reach out to people as well who we're just fans. We just share the same passions and same, you know.
Yeah.
And you guys watching are probably the same. You've probably you're probably passionate about stuff as well. So yeah, please stick around for all we've got coming in the future. I'm going to leave it at that because I could ramble on forever, but thank you so much, Handalf. And guys, I'm going to say what I say at the end of every episode to date of anything I've ever done, and that is, let's survive together and peace out. Thanks so much, Ed.
Bye, Paddy. Bye.